guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Battlefield. I'm your host, Echo Limits. With me today, as always, I have Flak.
Hey everybody, it's Flakfire. You can find me online at youtube.com/Flakfire Gaming. Also, twitter.com. It's at Flakfire Gaming, and on Twitch it's just Flakfire there. But happy to be back for episode 34. It's a lot of episodes.
Right, it is episode 34. Mambo.
Yeah, welcome guys. Welcome to episode 34. I'm one of your co-hosts, Mambo, on twitch.tv/Mambo, or you could shoot me a tweet over on Twitter at Mambo_BEE. Welcome.
Awesome. And as I said, I'm Echo Limits, spelled EKOLIMITS on twitch.tv. Find me on YouTube or Twitter, wherever else on the internet. This is episode 34, and fellas, I think this is called Before the Fire, and I wonder why. Yeah. Firestorm, right?
Shadowing. Yeah.
And as it is customary with all the episodes on this podcast, they are recorded live on my Twitch channel, and they will be on YouTube as well as on iTunes. And if you guys want to be a part of the show, it is very simple. All you need to do is comment down below if this is something you're watching on YouTube. Let us know what you think. Maybe you have some questions, comments, and some of them might even be read here live, recorded on the podcast. Of course, if you're watching it on iTunes and you want to write to us, the email is still the long and crazy, the Let's Talk Podcast at gmail.com. It's okay. It's just going to remain that way. We do have listener mail already. A bunch of people write in every month, so it's fine, I guess. Spell it out, the Let's Talk Podcast at gmail.com. And next up, what we're going to have is the topics. So the topics, as this podcast works, each of us bring a topic in to discuss that is Battlefield related. And the first topic will be combined arms discussion. Then we will have a deep dive into, personally, my topic. I haven't played BF5 in a while. Is that a bad thing? And the last topic is Mambo's, which is, if you were the creative director in charge of the next Battlefield title, what would you do to win back fans for the series? So those are our three topics, after which we will have listener mail, and we will dive into live audience questions. If you're watching the recording, because this is a video podcast, you can see there's a panel of people hanging out, having a discussion with us, and it's pretty awesome. So without further ado, let's get into the first topic. Flak, what do you want to discuss?
Well, that'd be a good time to discuss combined arms. So, with the most recent patch here, we finally got combined arms Battlefield 5's cooperative mode. It's something that was, initially promised at launch, and then it got kind of rolled back, for reasons that there were some other things that weren't finished, and they needed to work on that. But I'm just curious what you guys thought about it. I'm sure you guys have noticed that it's a little bit different, quite a bit different than what was initially talked about. You had the devs talking about this idea that the multiplayer missions, the cooperative multiplayer missions, were going to be
something you can replay, right? That was the
procedurally generated.
Yeah,
like
or
in terms of like
right.
It would mix up different objectives for you to complete, and you would play through it, and so it'd be different every time, or at least you have more variety on it, and so it'd be different. And what we wound up getting was quite a bit different than that, in that it was kind of a predetermined, okay, here's what we're going to do kind of scenario. Like, okay, on this map, this is the string of objectives that you have to do. And I'm just curious what you guys thought about it, if you played it yet or not. I have played it. I did get some good time with it, and I have some thoughts on it, but I want to hear what you guys think first.
Yeah, I definitely tried it out. I was kind of looking forward to it because it does seem like something really fun. I have good memories of Battlefield 3's co-op. What did they call it back then? Does anyone know? Maybe in the chat, you guys know. I had fun playing that with my best friend, and lo and behold, me and my best friend logged on to stream the new stuff, the new content. And when I first started playing it, I was like, man, this is fun. You know, I dialed it up on hard, jumped in, and I was kind of pleasantly surprised by the ending, the extraction, how intense it is. You know, like all of a sudden a tank's just ramming through a building. You're just like, oh my God. And it was pretty good, you know, because oftentimes when I play like single player experience games or these co-op games, the AI is kind of dumb and it just doesn't work right. Like, you know, you play a lot of online, you start to see good gameplay and you can notice when an AI is just not there. But this wasn't that bad because, you know, they were coming at you real fast and you just had to really manage, and it was hectic. It was kind of fun. That was me playing the first round. Then you play the second, then you play the third and the fourth, and then you just start to see the pattern is pretty much the same. You know, the first part of it, you have like a small thing, either kill some guys or get an objective, and then there's extraction. The extraction part's crazy fun, you know, but the variety, like you mentioned, Flak, when they came out and they said they're going to have variety, it's going to be different. The variety in the iteration that we received in Combined Arms, not really there.
Yeah, and that's a big problem, but I can 100% agree with the experience of the extraction. Like the extraction is so much fun, even though, you know, after you play it a couple of times, it can get a little bit repetitious. It's still something that it's like, man, I breezed through those first objectives looking forward to the extraction round just because it was hectic. It was fun. You know, I had experiences where I was literally, you know, shooting guys and I'd run and go grab their weapon and, you know, shoot and then throw that weapon away and go grab a different one and then, you know, just keep running around and doing things because it was so fast paced. And it was a lot of fun. And I tell you, one thing that I appreciated about it was the different call-ins that you could do. So if you guys haven't played Combined Arms, like everybody has the ability to call in. There's no squad leader per se. Everybody's got the ability to call in a V1 if you have the points to do it, right? Or you can call in a Storm Tiger, which doesn't make much sense as a British soldier, but it's still kind of neat because you can hop in there and, you know, just go ham on the enemies that get in your way. And there's other little things that you can call in there, and it was a lot of fun. And honestly, like I am bummed that it's not as fleshed out as we were kind of promised.
Right.
You know, I think that definitely would have went better with everything, especially if the extraction round was there at the end of everything. But there are other things, you know, again, that extraction mode part of the game there I really liked. And I didn't really get bored of it. You know, I went back just to keep doing it. I did it like four or five different times, and I'm still like, all right, this is still fun.
Did you finish
you know?
all of them?
I've only done, I think, about 4 of them, and I think there are 8.
Okay. Yeah, I did like 7.
But I also appreciate the ability that you can earn company coin by completing them, and you can only earn it once, you know. So if you beat it on easy, you get the 500 company coin. It's 1,000 on medium, and then 1,500 on hard. But it's still something that it's like, well, you know, that's a lot more company coin than I'll get, you know, just playing
A match.
playing Battlefield in a match, you know. So it does kind of lure you over there in some ways. But Mambo, have you had time with it yet?
No, I watched Echo Limits play about 5 games of it when I was watching his live stream. And my question would be, okay, if they got different levels, easy, medium, and hard, is the AI, are they intelligent per se? Or are they not intelligent? Tell us, Echo.
I mean, the AI is not intelligent. You know, like we're talking about like, you know,
they don't do flank routes and stuff like that.
I don't know. They just kind of do stuff.
It seems like you're getting flanked, but I wonder if there's just like that many.
Yeah, I think it's
enemies
more
going
just
on.
You're right. The chaos going around and people spawning all around you and just going at you. But in general, the AI isn't that great. But Battlefield's never had the greatest AI, you know. I've always said this. When it comes to AI in video games, when you play games like, I don't know, zombie games and stuff, and then the zombies have like terrible AI, but you look at them like, oh no, they're zombies, or there's monsters. Like, for instance, Anthem just came out. I have no idea what the AI is like because I haven't played it yet. But if it's monsters, I'm more forgiving. You know what I mean? Because they just do things. But when you
Yeah,
create a game
they
with
might be dumb
humans,
monsters.
right? Exactly. And you create a game with humans, and a human does something dumb, it looks out of place. You know?
Mhm.
So like everyone running up a staircase just coming at you and you just shooting everybody in the head, that seems a little out of place, you know? So there's a little bit of that. But you know what I wanted to talk about when it comes to that combined arms, what shocked me is the fact that you can actually earn assignments in the mode.
Well, you've got that, and it also impacts your stats.
Right, your kill death and everything else. That seems so out of place, guys, right? Am I the only one
I'm
who thinks that?
actually, I think it's out of place for it influencing the stats.
Right.
But as for completing some of the daily challenges and some of the other things, I'm not really against that, you know, because I look at like some of the challenges that they come up with are really difficult. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, if I can complete them in that kind of mode, and it's kind of easy mode for me, I guess, okay, you know, I'll be happy to do that. But it's also something that, you know, you have to look at the different tiers of players that we get in Battlefield. You know, so you got somebody who maybe has like almost no chance to get, you know, 50 headshots.
Yeah,
with
without
a
dying, or the
particular-
10 without
yeah.
dying. Yeah, their
so-
assignment system is it's really weird. But as far as combined arms, in general, I also had a few bugs, man. I wasn't expecting that, and it's just a little bit buggy, man. A few times I tried to connect with people, it just wouldn't let me get connected. You know, it's
I had
puzzling.
an issue where the round wouldn't progress because there were two enemies that were kind of like stuck out of bounds. And so I couldn't kill them because they were behind this wall. So I had to run down this hallway out of bounds. I get the big timer on my screen, you know, like you're deserting, you know, and I turn the corner and I hit the couple remaining alive guys over there, and I try to run back, and I get right to the edge of where I get back in bounds. I die and my corpse flies out of the hallway I was in. Then my buddy revives me, and then we were able to keep going, but it was a pretty humorous moment. But yeah, there are still some bugs in there.
So let's talk about something interesting. Is I was shocked that combined arms does not have matchmaking. If you're going to create let's think about it this way, because we're having a discussion on combined arms, and you guys in the chat might want to join in on this. It's like, in general, to me, it's a little lackluster and unfinished. So my idea would be like, let's tell DICE, like, what do we expect as fans of the franchise, and just, you know, what's the way to improve this kind of content. I really would have hoped that they would launch with some sort of matchmaking for this.
Yeah, Anthem has matchmaking.
Yeah, it's something that I think, honestly, when we look back at this and we look at the launch of the game, and as much as I like cooperative stuff, because I do, I love cooperative gameplay. You know, I'm stoked for Anthem. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it's something that it's like, you know what, I would, if you have a game and you know you have limited time,
Yep.
you know, and if you're not going to be able to realize the vision that you had for cooperative play in a Battlefield game, I mean, shelve it and move on to something else. And I think, unfortunately, they weren't able to do that because they kind of promised it.
Right.
You know, they promised
did put
combined
that
arms.
in their marketing, right? That it was going to be in the
So
game.
That kind of binds, yeah.
So do you guys
know.
think they just kind of put it out there to cover their marketing campaign stuff? Just be like, okay, fine, we promised them, let's put something out and call it a day, move on?
I mean, it is fun, but I think it's one of those things where they looked at it and they were like, what is...
Right.
I don't want to say the minimum, because it was fun, and you know, they introduced some cool aspects of the game in there, but
It's interesting that you mentioned minimum, because to me it felt like, what is the minimum?
Well, and I mean, everybody's going to have their opinions on that, and I am sure you are not alone, because I've seen a lot of reactions to that where, people are like, it's, combined arms is not what we expected. It's not enough. It's the bare
if we're
minimum.
going to go down a list of what do we expect, I expect matchmaking. Mamba, what would you expect from, like, if they're going to next Battlefield title have a co-op? What do you expect from it?
Some carrot at the end of the stick. Like, if you finish the combined arms, you get only a weapon or something that's unique to the combined arms.
Better rewards, right? Like, because the rewards, company coin's all right, but like Flak mentioned, you only get the company coin once, and then there's no reason to play again. There should be a replayable incentive.
Right.
Bring back battle packs. I would play a mode to get a battle pack and get a random skin. That's fun. Apex has battle packs and nobody bats an eyelash. You have EA, all right, has loot crates in their most successful game in recent history right now, and no one is trashing them. Battle packs and loot crates are not a bad idea. They're fun. It's what you do with them. You know what I mean? Bring back battle packs. I don't know.
I'm not sure how I feel about battle pack, and I like the idea of loot crates and whatever, but it's just something that it's like people get so arbitrarily PO'd.
It's more for
about
cosmetic stuff, right?
Right, yeah, just cosmetics. No big deal.
You got to have cosmetics that people know that are sitting out there in order to really want that battle pack, right? Like in Anthem, in Apex, you got a list of things that you want, and you could get those in a battle pack. You see that already.
Yeah.
They would have to do something like that. Like, you have a chance of winning one of these 1,900 cosmetic things if you open it up in a battle pack, right? So
yeah, it's funny. We're kind of going full circle here. 77 Amazing in the chat is like, echo to EA, we want more loot crates. Like the whole gaming industry is like, oh, loot crates are bad, right? And then all of a sudden we don't have them. We're just like, man, remember that? That was fun.
It's
like,
still...
what would you say is that you want, like, out of a combined arms next Battlefield, feature wise?
I'd frankly, and I think this is where a lot of people are at with this. I want a complete Battlefield game. And to me, Battlefield is multiplayer. To me, Battlefield is solid campaigns.
Question though. Did you see Westy's video about no more single player?
I did see it. I personally feel like single player is important. I think that there's certain things that they could have done different, or they could have resulted in a better product. But looking at it, for me, I don't want to see combined arms, and I would much rather see a more laser focused look at single player and multiplayer. This was the second go around for War Stories.
What if you can tell a story, single player campaign style, but have it like combined arms, kind of multiplayer storytelling?
Well, I think Black Ops 4 kind of tried that a little bit. It just felt really hollow and empty. People just didn't care. Like, they looked at it like, okay, we'll do some videos to kind of showcase some of these characters. It was very much the same kind of route as like Rainbow Six Siege, right? For example, where you kind of get a feel for these characters and whatever. But it's something where it's like, Battlefield for me is the focus needs to be on multiplayer. Like, and if you can't deliver a solid multiplayer game, because it's 4 months after launch and we're still bug fixing.
Yeah,
we have not crossed the threshold from bug fixes to new substantial content 4 months after launch. And if you're going to deliver a game, again, and that can't be the case. So, until We get a Battlefield game at launch that runs proper out of the box and has everything in it that's promised. Like combined ops or arms or cooperative stuff shouldn't be on the radar at all.
Yeah.
You know,
You
if you
think
wanna
that
add it
they set
on,
out too ambitious for Battlefield 5 for their own good? Maybe.
I don't think so, because I think that they were supposed to have more dev time than they wound up getting. You know, and that's a whole different thing there. You know, but it's something that you know, this is how I feel about Battlefield right now.
Right.
That you've got a player base that is all out of.
At the same time, Flak,
well,
we're just only talking about combined arms.
I know.
I want to try to
know.
keep us on topic. We'll do an open session, you know?
It's really important to talk about, though. But it's
Sure.
just like, I feel like EA has overdrawn at the Goodwill ATM. Like,
Well, listen,
you know,
I definitely feel your concern there and everything else, but I do want to let's talk about that at the end if you guys want to stick around for that, Flak, because we'll do that at the end, because we are running really long on this topic, and I kind of want to bring it back on a combined arms. Any final thoughts on combined arms before we jump into the second topic? Sorry
it's
to do
fun.
that.
You should try it.
Yeah,
See
but
if you like it.
for me, it's fun. Check it out, but it's not lasting fun. It's just there. You're gonna do it once, and then you're gonna be like, okay, I don't play this.
How many players are in combined arms?
I believe you can do 4, right?
4.
Yeah.
4-player co-op.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna jump into the next topic of the podcast. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the different discussions we have so far, because there's so much going on about Battlefield. We're not gonna be able to detail everything. It's kind of we pick what's important to us. If you guys want like information and news, you should just subscribe to Flakfire's channel, or people like in the community like Westy that do a great job of getting you guys informed on like what's new, like all the updates and what new things got buffed and didn't. This podcast is not really about that. It's about the community, you know. So I asked an important question. Guys, I have not really been playing Battlefield 5 lately. There's a reason why. There's a game that came out of nowhere. It's got my attention. But the question is, as a Battlefield fan, a huge Battlefield fan, I have thousands of hours in Battlefield. Is that a bad thing? Do you guys ever find yourself where you're just like too entrenched into another game that Battlefield just takes a back seat?
I think that's a really hard question for us to answer, given that all of us do content on Battlefield. So it's like, you know, unless we do it full time, right? Which I think Mambo, don't you do streaming full time now? No, still part time, but Echo does it full time. You know, for me, I do YouTube stuff part time, and it's like I only have so many hours in the day outside of my regular work that I get to play stuff. And if I'm trying to make content for, you know, a channel that primarily covers Battlefield, it's hard to step away from it to do something else. But you know, I mean, Apex and Anthem and those kinds of games, Metro. For example, I'm looking forward here to playing Metro soon. But you know, I did have a week where, you know, I didn't really play anything, not just Battlefield.
Yeah, life does get out there. So like we have an interesting comment by Hashbro, says bad thing for Battlefield, yes. Is it a bad thing for the Battlefield franchise that some of their players might jump onto Apex and start enjoying that content? Because they do update the game quite often, and I do pick up Battlefield 5 for the updates and check it out, see what's going on, have some fun with my friends online. But I've just been having way too much fun with Apex. That's like a whole nother story. That game has come out of nowhere. My thing with this is I wanted to know, like, would that be a positive thing for DICE? Like, for them to say, like, man, there's a bunch of our longtime players and they're going to play the new Battle Royale, right? Because that's what's cool, that's what's fun, and Apex is actually a tremendously good Battle Royale. So, like, got me thinking. Remember when like months ago, a couple of podcast episodes back, when we were having discussions about battle royale for Battlefield, and I was on the nay train. I was just like, yo, don't make a battle royale for Battlefield. I'd rather see a Frostbite engine battle royale and all that other stuff. And then, bro, Apex hit me, and now I'm like fiending to find out what Firestorm is gonna bring. Like I would never even pay attention.
That battle royale?
Yeah, like, wait, yo, I'm on Twitter talking to devs and trying to trick them into somehow telling me information. Like, hey, yeah, what's going on with Firestorm? Oh yeah, I heard it's gonna be like, like, I don't know. And I wasn't excited about Battle Royale for Battlefield at all. All of a sudden, Apex has got me in that mood. I'm playing other games that got me interested in other parts of what Battlefield could be. So, I don't know if necessarily it's a bad thing if you put down a game for a while. It's a bad thing if you don't want to even check out their updates. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But Mambo, what do you think? You've been playing some other games that got you thinking about Battlefield, what they could be?
Yeah, I stepped away from Battlefield. I play a Battlefield about once a week now, and it's almost like you got to step away from it to miss it a little bit, and when you come back, you hope that the things that you miss are like better. Like, oh yeah, man, I really missed this, and that formula of Battlefield, whether it's Conquest or Operations, or we're supposed to be getting Rush soon, 16 versus 16 on Battlefield in the month of March.
Dude, I'm waiting for that.
That'll be refreshing because both myself, I loved Rush in Battlefield 3 and before. I know Echo, you like Rush a lot in Battlefield 4 and previous. Maybe that'll bring a little bit of, oh man, I missed you kind of feeling back. You step away from a loved one that you had a disagreement with, and you come back and you just squash all that, and you're like, you know what, I still miss this, I still like this a lot.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing, Echo. I just think sometimes you need to step away to experience other things. It doesn't mean it's bad.
Echo mentioned loot crates, and Apex has them, for example, and talking about like, oh, we kind of miss the loot crates, like we hate them but we don't, at the same time. It's still something like Apex is going to have some pretty far-reaching consequences for Battlefield, not necessarily, I think, in terms of gameplay, but further down the road, in terms of how DLC will be structured, support models for that, all of that kind of stuff, I think is going to influence what we see. And hopefully it'll be for the better,
Right. Success of other games can dictate new approaches for the next Battlefield games. I just saw you streaming, Mambo, and you were playing Anthem, and that, like you said, has matchmaking in its co-op play.
Yeah, it's co-op.
I'm sure DICE has to be looking at that and saying like, yo, next time we do something like Combined Arms, put matchmaking into it.
Yep. Yeah, imagine if all the maps of Battlefield 5 were in one big map, like what Black Ops 4 did with their Battle Royale, right? They took all the little maps that they've made over the years and they kind of combined them into one map. Imagine if they did the same thing that they did in Anthem in Battlefield 5 for Combined Arms. You go out and you find camps of different bad guys and you got to defeat them. It's sort of like Red Dead Redemption 2 did, sort of like Far Cry has done. You kind of go in and that's your battle. Like you go in and fight these camps of different bad guys. That would have been better for Combined Arms than what they got now.
So you're saying, whoa, what an interesting thought. You're saying like, what if Combined Arms wasn't a small thing on each stage? What if Combined Arms, like you said, if it was procedurally generated, if it had like infinite amount of content, replayability, what if it was like a battle royale style? You have a huge map and you can be in it and you can enter different like parts of the map where different things would happen. Almost like really doing the Anthem experience, but for Battlefield. So you get your crew, you hop into a Jeep and you're going around, and then you're driving and all of a sudden there's something going on in this town and you do some sort of a location-based kind of thing.
I mean, but is that Battlefield at that point?
Oh,
You know what I
the
mean?
question
Like
is
it
what is
sounds like
Battlefield anymore, right? I mean,
it's a good question,
everyone
I
has a
guess.
different point, and Battlefield is such a franchise with millions of sales. Even when people were listening to, I saw a video on YouTube saying Battlefield 5 did not meet sales expectations, but it has 7 million worth of sales. Bro, if I make a video game that has 7 million worth of sales, that's amazing. I'm a millionaire, But apparently that doesn't even meet expectations, but that was like a whole different story. It's that so many people are involved in Battlefield as a community that there's so many voices and so many expectations. For instance, Battlefield to me is the gunplay. It's the running on the ground, destroying environments gunplay. That's me. It doesn't have to be playing Conquest. I don't even like Conquest.
For me, it's conquest and blowing stuff up.
Mambo, what is Battlefield for you?
The teamwork, communicating and moving from objective to objective as a squad makes me feel like the call outs and doing stuff together, winning together makes you feel like, oh, this is, because it gives you that camaraderie. So years down the road, you can be like, remember that time we used to get together, we went into this map and we took over this. Oh man, it was so good. Those times, those are the memories you want.
Right. And it's interesting because a lot of us have like different ideas of what Battlefield could be, but I don't see a reason why Battlefield can't have a one big map and have like some sort of chill places to go. I'm still waiting for Battlefield to have a social space. Like, how cool would that be?
This is all stuff that it's like we didn't get what was promised.
They didn't
off the
promise us a
bat.
social space, did they? No.
No. But I'm saying that it's like it's still 4 months after launch, and we're just getting all these things yet. Like I love the ideas. Like they're wonderful ideas. Like they should, try and do something with them. But it's still like, this is an experience with Battlefield 5 that the whole launch and the drama and all of this stuff. Like I don't want to experience this again. As a member of the community.
Yep.
Like I don't want to deal with it. Like, I play games to have fun.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
I
sure
don't
DICE
play
has
games to
learned
have
like
debates over social justice and
that does not
that kind of stuff. That's not for me what it's about. And I think, and maybe this can transition back into Mambo's final topic here, but I think it's like Battlefield needs to get back to basics. Like what makes Battlefield Battlefield? We're kind of having that discussion right now, but I think
let's jump into Mambo's topic then. Mambo, like we've discussed my topic and I just found it very interesting to just bring up something that says, look, sometimes I remember when Battlefield 1 was out, when people were like, oh, I don't play Battlefield anymore. And I was just like, you don't. But there's still Battlefield fans. They went back and they watch all the news about Battlefield 5, and they decide if they're going to buy it or not. I'm sure there's like Battlefield 4 people. People still play Battlefield 4, guys. Like tens of thousands of people are constantly online playing Battlefield 4. And they're ones like, they're still watching all the news on Battlefield 1 when that was coming out, or Battlefield 5 when it's out. But they decide to skip it because maybe they're waiting for a modern Battlefield. But that's the discussion we're doing, Mambo. So like as a Battlefield fan, I felt like it's important to tell DICE, like, look, I might have put your game down. I'm watching, I'm looking at the new content and stuff like that, and I'm playing the new content, but I'm hoping for something better. You know what I mean? Like Flak said. So let's give it to Mambo. Mambo, your topic. Tell us what's going on there, and we'll jump in.
Yeah, well, my topic was more of a question to the cast. And this is kind of my time to be a member of the chat community here watching, was if you were a developer or the community manager or a chief designer of the entire series, what would you do to win back? So they lost a lot of loyal fans of the Battlefield series by going back in time, as you say, Echo, and there's people waiting for a modern Battlefield. So what would you do as a creative director to win back fans of this series? And this question is for Echo. This question is for Flak. What would you guys do as a creative director to win back fans of the community? I'll let Flak go ahead and start off with that.
Flak talks the longest. We'll have him start. No, I think, Battlefield needs to get back to basics. I think they need to kind of set realistic expectations for things. It's much better to over deliver, than to under deliver. So looking at this and talking about, setting and that kind of stuff, Battlefield 5 for a lot of people hasn't really progressed to the point where it's really appealing for them. So I respect DICE for going the direction of picking some rather obscure battles and that kind of stuff, but it had the problem, Battlefield 5 had the problem of being new but not being familiar enough.
So
'cause you
what
think
was
of
the
World War
basics
II.
to you?
I mean, basics to me, like, all right, if I was creative director of the next Battlefield game,
One day you'll
tell you
be.
what, I would love it. It would be
Oh,
fantastic.
dream come true for all of us. Come on, man.
It would be, but I would say, all right, let's break this down. Let's get back to basics. Let's set some, pretty conservative expectations on what we're going to put out here. I would say, okay, and again, this is if I was creative director, I'd say we're going to Korea. We're going to have a single player campaign that features both sides of the coin there, where you have an American campaign and you have a North Korean campaign. You then have focused on multiplayer. You have a multiplayer section, and at that point you can say, okay, this is what we're going to deliver. If Apex is telling us that people really want battle royale and it's going to be a long-term kind of thing there, and we can look at that, but again, it's got to be focused on the basics. Looking at doing all these war stories, like we had four war stories in this one. Battlefield 1 we had 5. Let's just do 2. Let's do 2. Let's make them really good. Let's focus on getting putting all the resources into 2 things to have them work, put the rest of the resources into multiplayer, whether that's Conquest, which needs to be a focus, Rush needs to be a focus. I would ditch some of the other game modes that in my opinion don't need to be there. I think we need to have RSP, because we have a community that's trying to form behind Battlefield 5,
They have
no
nowhere to
tools
form.
do it.
Yeah.
People are trying really, really hard.
Multiple
and-
different.
And the support, unfortunately, from the developers doesn't feel like it's there. It's not saying that it's not there, but it's all about perception. It's all about how does this feel.
Right.
So looking at it from the basics, that's what I would do. I think Korea is a fantastic topic. There's a lot of different things you could do with that. It'd be edgy enough that it would get a lot of interest in the news. But not necessarily so complex that you would have a lot of the concerns that were swirling around Battlefield 5. So, I mean, I just think get back to basics, set realistic expectations on things, and, execute 100% and over-deliver on whatever else you've
Do
got.
you think? Okay, Flak. If you say over deliver, what if they pulled what Apex did, and you didn't even know you were going to get a delivery, and all of a sudden you got a delivery? That's over delivered.
Yeah.
Well, and this is what I'm talking about here, because going back to what I was saying earlier, like they've kind of overdrawn at the Goodwill ATM. All right, I'm not talking like the Goodwill store, but it's just like, we've given the benefit of the doubt so much over the course of the Battlefield 5 building up to launch and the launch, and we're hanging in there and we're hoping, and we are fatigued right now from that. And we're waiting for the delivery, and none of us know if it's going to happen, right? So it's something that it's like, again, you need to start off from a position of this is what you're getting. Let's make sure we deliver it. If it's a situation where you think you have 3 years to deliver something and it only turns out to be 2, then from the very beginning, plan for 2 and then over deliver if you get that extra time there, but it's something that I would look at it that way.
Spoken like a director, creative director right there, it's 100%.
Focus on the things that when we stop and we break down Battlefield and you wrote down all this stuff on a whiteboard, right? You'd see Conquest, you'd see Rush, you would see vehicles, destructibility, you would see all these kinds of things, and you need to get that down before you move on to, okay, let's do combined arms. Okay, let's do that. Like, it's fun stuff, but it's like, it's, under promise, over deliver.
Okay.
You see, I get a feeling.
Same question goes to Echo. Go ahead, Echo.
Thanks, Mambo. I get the feeling that what you think is the basics of Battlefield Flag is not what I think. Because you mentioned immediately going to a historical aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think
Well,
Battlefield...
I'm saying it from the point of view of, like...
Well, what would you do?
I'd
Right.
pick Korea.
Right.
If
For
it's a
me,
modern thing...
I would make a modern Battlefield. I think
going
back
it's
to
probably
basics...
time for a modern Battlefield.
Yeah.
It's probably time for that. So I agree with you on.
I felt like it was time after Battlefield Hardline to go modern. Then Battlefield 1 came out. I'm like, surely they'll go modern. Then Battlefield 5 came out. I'm like, what is going on? If I was the creative director, what I would do is, when it comes to single player, I would continue making them, and maybe go back and ditch this whole stories single player. I think it's interesting, but you don't have enough time. I like your idea, Flak. Maybe making 2. That's like the most I would do. You don't have enough time to spend with a character to care about the character.
Yeah. And if you've got 2, you can show both sides of the coin leading up to this one moment where they come together.
Well, yeah. I mean, hey, that sounds really cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where they cross paths at the end.
Yeah, so you can actually control 2 different stories as they, at the end, will meet. Mm-hmm. And then as you play with one, this ending happens with another. Yeah, that's creative. That's cool. I like that.
And it's one of the things, like, history is written by the victor, and we look at all these things. And, I was watching this Ken Burns documentary on Vietnam, and it's fantastic. You should watch it. It's on Netflix. But it's like, most of the time when we see these kinds of documentaries, we don't hear from the people on the other side.
No.
It's always just like,
but we didn't win the Vietnam
It's almost
War.
to the point of its propaganda,
True, but it's one of those things of, most of the time they go with the people who are easiest to access, and talk to those people about what happened.
Let me get into my direct... I'm creative director here. This is exciting. I love this topic. I love this topic a lot.
Your hot seat, Echo. Go ahead.
So I would make a single player more in the veins of like Battlefield 3's single player. You know what I mean? That one was like an epic going through something. I watched some footage back, and you're on a rooftop, there's bullets whizzing past you, you're clearing houses. It was cool. I liked it. I would do more focus on that kind of single player. Now, when it comes to multiplayer, I think the key part that Battlefield's been getting wrong recently is I would make it so that there are 2 different directions creatively. There's the open aspect of Battlefield, and there's the linear aspect of Battlefield. What happened is that Battlefield 5 does not have the Battlefield feel because a lot of people play it for the linear part, like me. Rush mode was linear, you know what I mean? And in Battlefield 5, there is no real linear map. I mean, everything is kind of open, and then you just zigzag around with some out of bounds areas. And that is truly something that's missing in the game. So I would create 2 different styles of maps, almost like what Star Wars Battlefront did. Star Wars Battlefront had the Galactic Assault, and then he had the small maps for like heroes versus villains, because they realized they didn't want to fit little areas into the big maps just to kind of have it all mixed in. I would make that key decision creatively as a creative director for the game. But I would also start to really double down on the social experience. 2019, man. Social media and just being social in your game is important. Rent a server program, that was where people got social. You went into the same server many times. There used to be a favorite server, and then you would start to see people in that server. Either they were on your team or against your team, but that's because they also like to go to that server. And it's almost like meeting in a chat room. Eventually, you were just like, yo, cool. Hey, Flak, I saw you there yesterday. You were playing sniper, and we were just kind of shooting each other. Or this time we were on the same team. You start meeting people online. Maybe I'm a little different because I'm a live streamer, so I meet people online all the time, and I see how powerful that could be. But I would, as a creative director, create ways where people can meet within the game. Have that social space. have the rented servers. You know what I mean? That would be a focus for multiplayer. So there would be like 3 things to it. Yeah, single player, but making sure that it is a full-fledged experience that people can actually remember. You know, kind of like the Bad Companies. There was a full story for Bad Company. Everyone knows who Sweetwater is. You know what I mean? Sarge, Preston, Haggard. I mean, I still remember all those characters. And when's the last time I played that game? Because it was memorable. Multiplayer, they just need to double down and understand that. I think there's a decision there creatively somewhere in Battlefield that thinks that Battlefield's focus should be vehicles, when in reality, I don't think that's true. I think vehicles are just a feature, just like destructible environments are a feature. And the focus of Battlefield is the gunplay, the way you walk, and like the team aspect that Mambo was saying. You know, that's kind of creatively how I would do it, you know. Split up that multiplayer, making sure that it's good on Conquest, good on Operations or Rush. And yeah, that's the core. And I like Flak said, I would ixnay all the useless game modes. Like, who's playing TDM anymore?
Well, I mean, like, TDM is fun. You know, I get it.
Have you played TDM in Battlefield 5?
Yeah.
It's
and
terrible.
I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed domination. Like, and there is a core part of the community that enjoys that. And you hate to say, okay, no, we're not gonna do that. But like, look at this for a second, Echo, because I know that this upsets you, right? We've got TDM and we've got Dom, and we've had those since launch in Battlefield 5. But Rush, temporary mode added later on.
Can't be. It needs to be there on the launch.
Yeah,
Rush
what's
is
up with that, right? Yeah.
You rotate in TDM and Dom, that's fine, but it's like, again, we break it down. We look at what is Battlefield. Like, I'm over here like,
I
it's
know
Conquest.
they launched
You're over
2
there like it's
Battlefields
Rush.
as a Rush as was their core game, right?
Yeah, and
now
you know,
I'm the guy who loved Rush, and I don't even have it.
Right. I mean, you could play TDM and Dom in any game, any shooter almost, but you can't play Rush in any shooter.
So it's like you got to break it down and say, what is Battlefield?
Yeah.
So even if you and I come together and say, okay, it's Rush and Conquest, that's fine. Don't worry about the other modes. You know, we saw it with Battlefield 1. We see it now with some of this stuff where it's just like the population isn't there. Like, and it's fun for some people. I get it. But it's like you can still craft TDM-like experiences in Rush or in Conquest, right? You can still get that in there, right? Whether that's through an infantry-only map, right? Or something like that. That kind of gives you that TDM flavor that you've had in you know, past Battlefield games. But it's like Rush and Conquest, they gotta be there. Because pretty much across the board, I think people are going to agree that Rush and Conquest is definitely more Battlefield than TDM and Dom, because Battlefield's always been about those larger multiplayer count battles. You know, that's been the selling point from the beginning of the franchise, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
you know,
it's gotta
and
be there.
here's a good kicker. And Countess Alyssa's in the chat. She says that Breakthrough is one of her favorite game modes. And Breakthrough, I think Battlefield, every time it launched, they tried to push a new game mode. And with each, some was successful, some not. Like Blood Money, yeah, that was for Hardline. And I loved Blood Money. And now I can't play it anywhere except in Hardline. Okay. Obliteration wasn't a great game mode. Battlefield 4, sure, we'll throw that one away. But Operations for Battlefield 1 was a success. And now it's called Breakthrough. That, let's just shove that aside. Why would you rename a successful game mode? Okay. Now it's in as Breakthrough, and I think that's part Battlefield now. For all those people who picked up Battlefield for Battlefield 1 and on, you know what I mean? That's now become, like you said, quintessential.
It is a very valid point, but it's still one of those things here too, that it's like, okay, if we like the idea of Operations, like, that's fine. But again,
I would make
who bought Battlefield 5 when they were like, oh, there's grand operations, right? Like,
nobody.
Who was like, that's the reason I bought the game, right? No, you bought the game And I know I was having some talks in the chat about, somebody saying theme isn't important. Like, theme is incredibly important to whether or
Yeah.
not people find a game appealing or not. But it's like,
Some people
You know,
are still
I
waiting for
think-
the modern Battlefield. They're
Yeah.
skipping all these historical Battlefields because they're seriously waiting for it.
yeah.
But
And so if you've got a modern Battlefield game, like the fact that it's set in a modern period, so you're going to have modern weapons, modern vehicles, is what's going to sell it, not another game mode.
true.
Or
But
a
it has to have the
rehashing of
Battlefield
something that
game
you
modes.
liked.
In my opinion, if I was still talking back to Mambo's topic, I'm the creative director. 4 game modes. There will be 2 large and 2 small, and 2 linear and 2 open. And the way I would do it is this: Conquest is the large scale open map, go anywhere mode. Domination is the small version of that, right? And then for operations on a linear would be the 64 player large scale linear mode, and Rush would be the small. So you have a little bit for everyone. And those are the core principles of Battlefield. I would ixnay all the front lines. That was cool because it was World War One, and I kind of felt like, yeah, pushing trenches and back. No, nobody even plays front lines anymore. I know, that might be controversial to some people to hear, but I seriously doubt that there's a lot of people playing front lines. And then all the other game modes like TDM, like, dude, that's a game mode designed in 1998.
1998.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Like, do we still need to beat a dead horse? Like, for real. Apex is successful because it's using a game mode that's just been invented recently. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
popularized.
and you look at game modes like TDM, and they really promote the kind of play that you don't want to see in Battlefield. Like, Battlefield's all about objective.
Mm-hmm.
And you have TDM, it's like, what's the objective? Kill a guy. What's stopping me from just hiding in a corner and waiting? Like,
So what does that say about the Battle Royale coming soon then? 'Cause that's
Your
the
goal
objective,
is to
right?
survive to the end.
I'm very curious as to what's gonna happen with this Battle Royale. I really am, because Apex is lit a fire underneath me. Like, I want to play Battle Royale, and I still love Battlefield. I want to see it, but I'm starting to really see the importance of having armor in Battle Royale games. You want to feel like you're like invincible. You want to feel like you can be aggressive, and I have a feeling like if they don't have armor in Battlefield 5's Battle Royale, you're gonna feel like you're paper thin. It's gonna be super campy.
well, my question is, how are vehicles going to work? And there's a lot of people who have concern over the vehicles, but it's like, at least look at it from this point of view, where the vehicles, DICE's decision to include those is at least going to make it somewhat unique.
Yeah, but you shouldn't do things just to make things unique. I shouldn't wear,
I'm
purple
aware, but,
socks just because I want to
what-
stand out.
What is going to convince me away from Apex? If I look at it and it seems like, oh, it's just another BR, and there doesn't seem to be anything different than the experience that Apex offers.
I think they're gonna go for all the people in PUBG. They're not going for the Apex people.
Mm.
I think it's EA. I mean, like, why would we tell people in our game to go to our game?
Weirder things have happened, man.
Well, I know, but I think they're looking at PUBG and they're saying, like, you guys are still playing this old game from 1998. Come over here, play some Battlefield.
PUBG came out in 2013.
Yeah, but it looks like it's from 1998. I bet I can boot up PUBG on Windows 98 and it'll work. 2 frames per second.
But they got 5 maps.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a discussion on its own. Like, Battlefield 5. What does Battlefield 5 need? Guys in the chat. All right. I'm gonna let's look at how many
That's what
people
it
will say
ends.
maps in chat right now. It's just maps. Yeah, we
Right.
would all like some maps, won't we?
Yeah. Can I go into if I was creative director? Can I?
Yeah, yo, Mambo, you always got the.
Well,
there's
please,
a
I
reason
wanna
why
hear it.
there's a Twitch emote. Mambo, what is it again?
Blow our
Mind blown. That was from an
Great director.
episode of this podcast where I screen grabbed your face and it was just you going. There you go, Devil's Hounds right there. It's Mambo mind blown from the podcast.
Yeah. Well, listen, if I'm creative director, you got to have a history to go back on of the things that worked and didn't work. It seems to me that we keep seeing reoccurring things come into the next Battlefield game that should have been fixed back 3 Battlefields ago. So as a creative director, I want to see the notes taken either on a whiteboard or something from the last series of Battlefield games that was corrected in the game, right? So one of the things that cannot happen in a Battlefield is for your sounds to be bad. Sounds have been number 1 in Battlefield out of any game ever that I've ever played. Audio. First off, to not have audio correct in a Battlefield game is like, what? Excuse me?
Yeah.
How do you not have audio
and not just correct, but it's like it's fantastic
Usually.
in previous games, and all of a sudden Battlefield 5.
You only got some guns that sound good. That doesn't work. All the guns have to be stellar audio, right? It seems like they're spending so much energy on putting sound on a V2 rocket rather than a handgun or footsteps. That kills your game's experience. Your game has to have the gunplay with the audio have to match. It can't be, oh, I heard the gun go off after he shot me. No. You need to hear that before. Like, you need to hear it as it happened. You need
You know
to hear
what I feel?
as it happened.
I feel that's a result of consoles. You guys, obviously PS4 Pro is a powerful console and Xbox One X is a powerful console. But we still in the era where the base PS4 and the base Xbox exist and are being supported by these games. And Battlefield, as beautiful as it looks, as robust sounds as it has, it might be pushing those consoles way too hard. You get, audio tearing, and you get all these technical issues because they're still trying to make games for such a low-end console. I mean, think about it. I think that's
I don't know.
the
It
issue.
seemed like Battlefield 1, it worked. Why does it not work in Battlefield 5? First thing, audio's got to be, that's a staple of the series, the audio, hands down. You got to look at all the things in the past that have been done well that make Battlefield. And as a creative director, that's going to be front and center. Like, what did we fix in the past? Why is that still carrying over to the new game? What is Battlefield staple of? It was Rush and Conquest and the audio, hands down. If you say Battlefield, what are 3 things that come to my mind when I think of Battlefield?
Destruction.
I think
Destruction.
the audio, the destruction, okay, Rush and Conquest. That's it. Those are like 4 things that have to be front and center.
And
Everything else after
large-scale
that,
multiplayer, right? I mean, we expect 64 players at this point, right?
right. So if
You
I'm
think
creative
they'll ever
director,
go
I wanna
100?
know what
That'd
we
be
did
crazy.
wrong in the past, so we don't repeat it. And I want to know what we did right in the past, so we repeat it. I want those things there. Those got to be front and center as creative director. Rent a server program has to be there. It needs to be there. And over deliver, under promise. You better have all your maps, all your DLC ready to go when the game launches. That way you can keep hitting people with surprise. We got new maps. Surprise, we got new guns. Constantly, every week, new stuff.
Right.
You don't give them a reason to play anything else. They're giving us reasons to go play Apex. They're giving us reasons to go play Anthem. Maybe EA's playing double-edged sword there. It makes me upset as a gamer to know that, oh, so they got another game I can go play. EA's like, yeah, just go buy that. I don't want that. I want to play Battlefield. So as a director, I'm not giving you a reason to go play Anthem. I'm giving you thousands of reasons to play Battlefield.
Yeah, so content would be like a focus for you.
Content. Gotta have tons of it. Like, I look at Apex, I'm like, wow, they got a roadmap, they got a battle pass coming out, they got all these things great for the players that want to play only that game.
Dude, I just
Right?
hit level
Seasons.
100 on Apex today.
Yeah, I don't want any level cap. If there is a level cap, then the whole thing they did with Hardline, where you legendary, where you restart from 0 and you work your way through again.
Yeah.
That, okay, but something to keep grinding for. There's nothing to keep playing for in Battlefield 5.
Right, you
gotta
do
hit a-
plateau, and there's no reason to continuously play through, just because
Right.
the emphasis on cosmetics is so convoluted because they're, you know, of the period correctness. There's not enough variety. I can have a camo that looks slightly different than a camo I have already. And it's like, okay, cool. I have a medic pouch on here, which I'm never gonna see because it's camo anyway. You know, there's definitely weird things going on there.
Yeah, and I don't want the publisher to put a deadline on when the game launches. I like the way Sony studios do things. They let the studio tell them when to start the marketing campaign. I love that. Because then you get good quality games. Because then the developer has spent years and say, you know what we got is really good. Look at Death Stranding. They went to Guerrilla Games, and I don't know if you've seen the article on Twitter, how Kojima went over to Guerrilla Games in over there in Holland and was like, hey, what do you think of this game? Guerrilla Games was blown away. As a fan of games, I'm like, wow, now I want to see it. If other game developers are like blown away by it, that's a sign of good work.
Yeah, that game's just going to be something you have to experience. That's for sure. Right.
So there's my 2 cents. If I'm a creative director, don't put me to a deadline. I'll tell you when to start marketing. Yeah. So we got everything in place, all the content.
True. You definitely want to come out with a finished product, and you want to come out with content that's going to carry over that community and keep people engaged rather than, you know, let things die down and then really work hard. I mean, like, that's sometimes disheartening when I see the team behind the marketing and team behind the community management. They work so hard for Battlefield, and there's just like an uphill battle because of the state that they will launch a game in, or the content that they have prepared, which is lackluster. They're just fixing the game. You know, that's an issue. I think I recall seeing a tweet on one of the developers. I forget who it was, but they were asking like, hey, isn't you know, the improvements we made content? And I was just like, no, it was an improvement.
That was Drunksy.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to figure out like how we feel about that. But in general, no one thinks, you know, you fixing gunplay or fixing vaulting or something as content. That's not content.
Right. That should have been there at the launch.
Right.
Well, then, you know, if it needs tweaks or adjustment, that's fine. But it's like nobody's going to look at that as like, oh, you added this to the game. No,
new feature. You can actually vault now. Like, no. No, not content. So that's an interesting thought, an interesting place to stop our discussion. I say, guys, in the chat, you guys, if you have a question that you want to have answered on this podcast live recording, here's going to be your chance. I saw a bunch of people kind of getting involved in the discussion right now. We're all passionate Battlefield community fans and members, many of us. The live streamers I see in the chat, and I see like other YouTubers stop by in the chat, and just community Dice Friends. Dice Friends is coming back, apparently, I saw. There's a lot going on in the community, and that's what I like about this podcast, is that we sit here and we try to get the community a voice to get their opinions and questions and maybe just discussions heard. So, of course, if you're watching this as a recording on YouTube, maybe on Flak's channel or on iTunes, somewhere where it's posted on the internet, Spotify, whatever, it's everywhere, right? You can always email us your comments, concerns, and we will read them like we will read the next email we received. The email is called the Let's Talk Podcast at gmail.com, and we're going to jump in from our conversation of the podcast into the email section and then live listener questions. So if you guys are live in the audience, at crew would be to ask all of us, or you can at Flakfire, at Mambo, or at myself, Echo Limits, and we will get into that. I already see a question by Psych, but we will first read off the email. So the email is from James Weston, and he says, "Hi guys, great podcast for the fans. 2 questions." Kind of cheating there. 2 questions. All right. After listening to the last cast concerning hackers, I came across this involving the top player on PlayStation 4, and the dedication to cheating is unbelievable. I have tweeted DICE about this, and they don't seem to want to do anything. So why do you think they let players like this get away with it? The guy presenting is a bit boring, but the evidence is damning. All right. The YouTube video he's referring to I think if you look it up, it's just console cheater for Battlefield 5, right? It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
We
it's
all
from
seen this
SMK
video, right?
Gaming. Yeah.
Yep.
It's from who?
SMK.
SMK Gaming on YouTube. Thanks.
Yeah. And he did one heck of a job on that.
Oh no, it is
On that video.
entertaining to watch. If you're a Battlefield fan as much as we are, I watched the whole entire thing from start to finish. Did you guys?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was just like it's like I'm watching the what is that on Netflix? The shows like Narcos or something like. No, it's not that one. It was it's like watching one of those O.J. Simpson trial.
Crime scene investigator.
Yeah. And this guy goes in. Basic gist of it, there's a player on PS4 who is a top leaderboard player, and he does a lot of weird things about, like, I don't know, making different accounts so he can switch sides because he wants to be on the winning side always because his win percentage. Just really, really going in on this. And I don't know, my gist of it was that guy is very OCD on the way he operates and makes sure that he wins and gets kills and everything else.
Well, you've got the question on, like, why isn't DICE going to do anything about this? And I think it's a pretty complicated question, but it's even more complicated because of the way in which this guy does this.
He didn't install a hack to do this. He just boots up 2 PS4s.
No, he's got 3 PS4s because he's got an account on each team plus his main account that he plays on. So he's paid like $1,000 for 3 PS4s and 3 copies of Battlefield 5 so that he can, go and do this way. And I mean, that's just like,
Yeah.
DICE is like, hey, we made more sales.
this guy's got like
I think I'm
200 IQ
exposed here
plays,
because
but
I own 3 PS4s.
Well, no, but it's just like it's the method of which he does this is so complex that
Now we know how you got top 5.
trying to outmaneuver this person, like the only person on the planet who could have done it was SMK.
Yeah,
because
yo,
he was the one
go watch
who
that video. It
followed
is
this
so
guy
good.
for like hours to figure out if this thing was actually, if he was actually cheating and stuff. And it's like you can't quantify that kind of stuff, from the point of view of like an automatic anti-cheat or whatever.
Yeah.
You just can't. Or if you
can
could,
have
the
a
amount
better
of time
reporting system.
you could.
A reporting,
Absolutely.
You get reported enough, then
Then
a
people will
developer
look
goes
into
and
you.
spectates.
Yeah, sure. You know what,
But
though, Mambo, we're streamers. You know how many times we're going to get reported just by people trolling us? Look at his echo limits. Oh, I got to report him.
Well, they got to come and spectate you.
They'll think I'm cheating.
Well, and the problem is, again, that he wasn't technically...
Have you ever
cheating.
spectated Stoddy? To watch his stream? That guy looks
Mhm.
like he's using an aimbot, right? So that's the funny part. But, that's because, we're just skilled at Battlefield. But the question is, like, I think if you're not installing something, hacking your PS4 to install some sort of software to be better or whatever, see through walls, whatever, DICE shouldn't really do anything about it. Like, look, if someone is just booting up 4 PS4s and looking at all the different mini maps, and one has the big mini map, so he sees everyone everywhere, Look, I mean, it is what it is. That's the guy. That's his life. We all choose the life we lead. Really can't expect DICE to do that.
I still think it'd be a bannable offense on, terms of use.
I think it's fair game, man. Guy's just better.
He's better
Money
at
money
multitasking
dictates who's better in
on
this
his
world.
3 PS4s. He's working like 2 controllers with his feet, and then he's got his third one.
Yo, that's skill. And the second question from James Weston reads, do you think explosives are underpowered? Why does it take 2 AP mines to take out a soldier? And if I stick 2 or 3 lumps of dynamite on a tank, why the heck do I not, he didn't say heck, do I not get the kill and still have to use AT grenade and 2 panzers to take it down? All right.
Well, it's
Oh,
called
we
a tank for a reason.
We talked about this a little bit previously, before the start of the podcast, but I just looked at it. I said tanks are underpowered, explosives are underpowered.
I think it's balanced though, right? It's just
It is, but then
at
they're
what
both
point is
underpowered,
realism?
not fun at that point,
It's
It's like
a tough place.
if an 88 millimeter tank shell hits the ground 2 feet from you. Like you just don't exist, you know. And in Battlefield, it's like 45 damage. I'm like, you know, and so it's something that, you know, if they manage to put 3 sticks of dynamite on my tank after, you know, I've been wailing on these people for 5 minutes, then it's like, yeah, you know what, you earned that kill. That's fine. Like the tank should be scary. Like Duca in the chat down there, he says tanks should be scary. Right now, they're not scary. They're not really anything, because it's like I can throw dynamite on them and they still don't blow up
right now.
Yeah, they're annoying.
Right, because they're up
not,
on the
not
hill.
Intimidating. They're not scary.
Nope.
They're just
like, annoying. They're there. The guy's on the hill. I know he doesn't have infinite ammo, but he's right next to the resupply crate. You know. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's something that DICE needs to figure out. I really do think that the ultimate thing is let tanks be powerful, let tanks have plenty of armor, but make them a exhaustible resource. And what do I mean by that? You have the wheel for calling in different drops and stuff like that. We just saw in Combined Arms, they have new ideas of what to do with this wheel, right, Flak? I mean, you can rebuild fortifications just by popping up, and it just rebuilds everything. It's neat. It's a little interesting, but I would love for DICE to just go in and put all the vehicles in there, because that means the guy who just cheeses the tank over and over every single map, that's all he does is sit there and cheese it. He can't do that without actually having to play the freaking game first.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Star Wars Battlefront did it. Like, you can't be Obi-Wan all the time. You have to play the game and then be Obi-Wan.
Okay. Fair enough.
And it's interesting, but then that's not the traditional Battlefield way, and we go back into one of our earlier topics. And
then let as a creative director, what I would do, all right, for Conquest, I would make it an open sandbox experience. You want to have fun, you want to spawn in a tank and just sit on a hill, you be the hilltops tanker guy. Conquest. But for linear modes, I would make it more competitive. I feel like people who play linear games are more competitive. People who play like open games, like GTA style games, go anywhere, are casual. Even though Conquest could be pretty competitive, I know.
So can Battle Royales.
Oh yeah, bro, I'm Merc.
Top 5.
Top 5. I know we had a question. Let's go back up. I'm gonna scroll up for Sykes' question. He was at crew. It's a little bit up there. But oh wait, we have Brandon. I'm sorry, Sykes. Oh wait, there we go.
We're gonna open it up to the community.
Yeah, we're that was the question. James Weston, thank you so much for writing in. Of course, we appreciate your email, and that video is very interesting to share with the community. We all seen it. I don't know, you know, what can DICE do about that? But people cheating, actually installing things, that's a problem, you know. I've also heard that the response from DICE has not been good when it comes to cheaters. Have you guys heard about that?
No.
Like actual people who have recorded footage of, you know, aimbot and wallhack.
Here's the thing, Echo, that all of us play on console.
Yeah, I know. I don't have any of that issue.
Playing on console, that's one of the reasons I play on console. So I don't have to deal with cheaters.
Yep.
You know, there are ways around it now, and unfortunately Xbox decided, hey, yeah, we're going to start doing mouse and keyboard support on some things, but...
Yeah, but that's not cheating.
It's uncommon, at least, you know?
No, but that's not cheating. I think even if they support mouse and keyboard on console, I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's cheating. I think aim assist, like as controls go, it helps enough to combat that. Unless you have like an up close and personal game like Rainbow Six Siege where headshots matter, you know, that's when a mouse and keyboard is important. But a Battlefield, no, I don't think so. Well, that's besides the point. All right, crew. What was the last time? When was the last time y'all played Battlefield 5? Psych wants to know. Flak.
Last night.
Mambo.
Last week.
Possibly.
Echo, last month.
No. It was last week when Combined Arms released. I played Combined Arms. Yeah, I actually want to jump in and play the new Night Grand Op, even though I'm not a fan of Grand Ops. Just want to check it out to see what they did with that, since it's like at night. Brandon 1886 says, at crew, what do you see medics getting for a second weapon class? Most maps, medics still isn't fun to play. Didn't they announce it already?
Carbines.
Yeah, they're getting some Is it carbine or carbine, Flak?
Depends on where you're from.
Where are we from? Because you said carbine.
I'm from the Midwest, where we don't say things proper like
we
everywhere
just geolocated Flak. We know where he lives now.
No, but carbines, I'd say so.
So is that a fully automatic, or is that a
I think it's single.
What does
but
that mean?
Drunksy had teased to me before that the medics would get the Delisle.
What's a Delisle?
The silenced, single shot silenced
silenced weapon.
Weapon that you see in the campaigns. You know, I don't know if that's still the plan or not, but he's like, no, we've been thinking about some things. What do you think about this? I'm like, oh, it would give me some more range as a medic, so I'd be up for that. But
is it like a medium range weapon now or something? I didn't play the single player yet.
I mean, yeah, it's a medium range weapon, but it's bolt action, so you know you're not going to be running through people with it, really.
That's confusing, man. I don't know about that.
At least it's not a submachine gun. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Medics. What would I give medics? I honestly thought that they got the balance wrong in Battlefield 5. Brandon, I would say that the shotguns should have been given to the medic.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Partially because I think there's just like support has way too many options, you know, and the medic's got like
none.
Here's your gun. This is all you get. You know?
And medic, when you look at submachine guns, I feel like that their intent was to say medic is an up close, in your face.
Then give me the shotgun.
Right. Then you should have got the shotgun. Yeah. Bizarre. All right. Mambo, what would you say would be another kit for you?
What do you mean kit?
Like a whole new, you know how assault has DMRs and assault rifles, and sniper has single action rifles and bolt action rifles, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they exactly call them, and that's kind of thing. Like medic only has one class of weapon, submachine gun. What should they have?
Well, in Battlefield 1, they had a machine pistol, right? Like a extended mag pistol. That was in the game in Battlefield 1. So why wouldn't they be able to carry that technology over to Battlefield 5? And 20 years later in a war, I just think I like the machine pistol from Battlefield 1. I thought maybe the medics could pull out a machine pistol. Would be nice, or a sawed-off shotgun would be nice.
Or they give us, you know, more flexibility with sidearms as a medic. Like you could do that too.
Dual wielding.
Oh, why isn't there dual wielding in the game yet?
Yeah.
Like medic could be dual wielding. That'd be kind of cool.
When was the last time there was dual wielding in a Battlefield game?
Hardline.
Hardline? Okay.
It was the only time there ever was dual wielding. Hardline did a lot of things that were interesting. But it was way too late.
It wasn't nice. Yeah.
They did all that stuff like when the game was like no one's playing anymore. I'm just surfing through. I'm sorry if I did not get your questions. Just spam them again, guys. We will try to get to a few more questions. We have some time in this podcast. We have Slyer 66 says, at crew, one thing from all of you that would make Battlefield great again. Can I? All right. Anybody want to start? One thing that would make Battlefield great again. I would just get a red hat, make Battlefield great again. That's it.
God, no politics.
MPGA.
All right. One thing that would make Battlefield great again. Okay.
For me, just get back to basics. Just back to basics.
Fair
It's a
enough.
good question, Slider. Man, that's a good one. How about I saw someone else mention it. Darn, I didn't get your name. Someone in the beginning of the podcast, I was reading through the chat while somebody mentioned we should bring back old maps, like remaster some maps that are fan favorites. That's always been a positive
Right,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, like Battlefield 4 came out with a whole DLC that was just remastered maps. It was so much fun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's get Metro back. It's been a while. I want to go back to Operation Metro. I think I saw a tweet from you, Flak, that it was like a Metro, you know, or something.
Oh, I'll do that. Every 6 months or so. I'll just share like a historical image
Of a
of
metro.
the Paris Metro.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
I won't say anything with it. I'll just share the image, and I just watch everybody comment on it.
Operation
And it's like,
Metro.
you want to talk about things that'll, make Battlefield great again, kind of go off of what Amba was talking about earlier when he's like, find what works. And it's like, if a map works, if Metro works, if Locker works,
Right.
and we talk about,
Or Locker.
we could sure use a linear map in Battlefield, right? Echo was mentioning that earlier, where it's kind of like things are dotted all over. Give me Fort de Vaux. Give me
Give me RSP so I can have a 24/7 that, and I'll freaking play that game for 6 hours straight.
Pull from some of the game's history that we like. Pull from some of the maps.
Yeah. For me, Platoon versus Platoon matchmaking.
Ooh. But that was
Get the
never in
com-
Battlefield to begin with.
Yeah.
Is it? We have Bloody Slayer in the chat saying esports wise, not 32v32 design like Battlefield 3. When you say Platoon versus Platoon, are you like esports inspired about it, or just kind of like whatever? It's just kind of like something like you think Battlefield missing is a community of platoons.
Yeah, it's like the platoons need to be able to find other platoons to go against with a ranked platoon leaderboard that would make it okay. Let the competitive community run with it.
Sykes just got me excited, man. Imagine breakthrough on Zavad 311. That was a great map, man. It was so balanced.
Battlefield has always done good wooded or woodland maps, like Vietnam's DLC of Bad Company 2, Zavad 311. The list goes on and on, but the wooded map from Battlefield 3 that was remastered in Battlefield 4 as an autumn type map, Caspian border.
Mm-hmm.
Caspian border. They lost the opportunity to use lightly wooded area on Panzer Storm. They could have put woods all the way from the C flag all the way to the E flag and made like little creeks and bridges to go over. It would have been so good. But they used the foliage. Look at the Frostbite, how they made the Star Wars Battlefront 2 and some of those jungle maps.
Yeah.
So cool. Like
Yeah.
they really can do foliage well. Take advantage of that.
That's very interesting that you say that. I saw a comment by one of the DICE developers, and I forget what exactly he was saying. He was saying, what's your favorite part of Twisted Steel as a map? And he had like 4 things in there. One was the bridge, then it was some like farms and houses, and then something in the like marsh or something like
swamps.
Yeah, swamp, right? And I'm like, and I responded to him. It's like, look, if you made a map with such uninteresting places called houses as part of your map, that's how generic your map is. It's got a place called houses, and the other one's farms, and the other one's marsh. Like, no wonder everyone voted the bridge. That's the only thing that's on that map. You see what I mean? But you look at Zavad 311, you have a bunker. You know what I mean? You have a factory area. Then you have the radio tower. You know what I mean? Like, you have actual locations that are memorable, interesting. Map design is lacking in Battlefield 5. And that's an interesting point to make. That the actual map designer of the game was like, one of his options was houses. Like, which house? God dang it.
Right. It needs to be a name of a village. Right.
Or it needs to be like legit, like some sort of a actual house. But like you look at Battlefield's map design, many times it's just some house. I don't know. You pick. It's the red one or the blue one. I don't know. There's like blue one on this side, and it's like, oh, you know.
Right.
And that is a problem. It needs to be more memorable. I just watched a video by Jack Frags, and he's playing Battlefield 4. He's been making Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4. Lots of the Battlefield YouTubers, Flak. I mean, I don't know if you have a Battlefield 4 video plans for us because you're a Battlefield YouTuber too. So it's like everyone's going back and playing all the great Battlefields. And then so he was playing Siege of Shanghai. You're like, oh wait, that's the tower. Oh wait, that's the other the shopping mall. And then you had the one that's underneath. You know, like you had like things that are more memorable. Then you had the parking garage. You know what I mean?
Well, and Levolution itself is more memorable. You know, like you look at Levolution. Like everybody remembers the first time you see the skyscraper come down on Siege of Shanghai, right? You think of Battlefield 1, or the first time you see the airship crash, right? And you look at Battlefield 5, and you know, there's just kind of a void there, I think, in some ways. You know,
right.
Like you get the V1 and the explosion from that, it's fantastic. Like it looks really cool. But
yeah, that is probably the only thing.
You know, again, coming up with things that showcase the scale of what a Battlefield game should be. Like, was the V1 enough to do it? Some people probably said no. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure we all have those memories of what Battlefield 5 or past Battlefields have been for us.
Right.
Like, speaking of Siege of Shanghai, I remember sniping a guy out of the attack chopper, jumping off the top of that building on Siege of Shanghai and stealing his chopper after I sniped him out of it. It's just, you don't get that in the current Battlefields. It's like, what was that? You know?
We have a question by Joe Mike. Says, at Crew, a DICE dev tweeted that Battlefield 5 is getting a mechanic that was in Hardline and a Medal of Honor game. What do you think it is? Oh, they just kind of cryptically tweeted?
Yeah,
I would be down.
And Medal of Honor.
Medal of Honor's campaign was amazing.
No, but they're not giving campaign. You know, there's no way.
I couldn't remember if the ammo and health grabbing was in Medal of Honor. So I asked the chat, and somebody said that it was. And if that was the case, then that was one of my favorite aspects of Hardline. Like, it made playing the game so much less of a pain
I don't
in
like
the
that
butt.
idea, man. I think people should learn how to play the game.
I agree in some ways, but at the same point, it's like, it's so frustrating to deal with people who don't know how to play the game, because it's not me that needs to learn how to play the game.
Yeah, but now
it's them.
now you have like actual health and ammo crates in so you don't have to be frustrated anymore. You could just go get it yourself.
No, I know, but
so you benefit from teamwork. Now you're just gonna be grabbing off or searching someone's pockets while their back is turned to you. I don't know. I hope that's not the feature. If that's the feature and that they're cryptically like
they're pickpocketing.
Yeah, pickpocketing. If that's that they're cryptically like, I don't know, hyping up, then I'd be really disappointed. As far as Hardline, man, what feature? Zipline? Maybe? Zipline?
Zipline or grappling hook? Grappling hook would be nice.
Dude.
I love the grappling hook in that game.
Again, I was watching.
Zipline was fun because you could kill people with it. That
you could?
was a fun thing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. All you had to do was be higher than them, and you aim the zipline to where they are, and as long as they were below you, you could shoot the zipline into them, and it would count as a kill.
It'd impale them?
Yeah, impale them with the big arrow.
Yeah.
There was like a whole animation and everything?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, it would shoot the thing, and then
you just die?
Then they just die, you know?
I would say, what kind of features did Hardline have? Oh man, if they have a gun bench, that would be cool. That was a cool thing about Hardline.
Yeah, gun bench was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Was gun bench in Medal of Honor?
Yeah.
Was it?
Mambo knows.
I didn't even gun and flipping it over and putting the attachments on it.
I don't remember this, but it might be.
Warfighter. Yep.
Huh.
I played it a lot. I love Medal of Honor. They just give up on it after launch. It's like, it kind of reminds me of what we're going through in Battlefield. They just kind of give up on it after launch.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yep.
Well, the good news is the Battlefield will be around because EA does want a first-person shooter, and the franchise Battlefield is big enough. You don't just ixnay, but definitely understand why Medal of Honor got the axe, because why would you do that if you have Battlefield, you know? And now they have Titanfall as well, which is I don't understand how it's connected to Apex, but okay.
That's why I don't want to see a Battlefield 2029 or whatever it is, a modern, like a futuristic Battlefield like they did 2042 or whatever, because they got Titanfall. You don't really need a sci-fi Battlefield if you have Titanfall.
Right. And they also had Star Wars Battlefront, which is kind of sci-fi.
Right. You don't need a modern Battlefield. I mean, a futuristic Battlefield, like down future. I like Middle Eastern themes, kind of like what Medal of Honor did and Battlefield 3 did. You know, I like that Middle Eastern feel. They could also cover, you know, stuff down in Panama Canal that hasn't been covered, the Iran-Contra scandal.
Yeah, Battlefield Civil War right there.
Yeah.
Korea.
I've said it many times on this podcast, and I'll say it again. You know, give me a Battlefield for $15 with some goofy setting like Greece, you know, ancient Mesopotamia. I'll do it. I'll pay you $15 for 6 online maps and 4 classes, and that's it.
Just spears and shields.
Yeah, and just goofy things like throwing rocks and slings. And now let me play Conquest and let me play Rush. That's it. Don't build this whole big spectacle of Battlefield. Nah, just build this little thing. I can go play Battlefield medieval times. That'd be cool. All right, guys. I think that about does it for this episode. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on what we discussed today?
No, a month from now, we're going to see Firestorm.
Wow, we didn't even talk about Firestorm at all. This whole episode.
This is before the fire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's coming. We'll see what it's like.
Could it be that we didn't talk about it? Yeah, because we haven't seen anything.
Yeah, they're keeping it under wraps. That could be a good thing.
I mean,
I hope so.
Over deliver, under promise. That could be a good thing.
And let's not forget this either, that Firestorm is being done by an entirely different studio.
Criterion.
Than DICE. So there's a lot of people who are like, oh, if they didn't do the base game right, they're not going to be able to do this other thing. It's a different studio, okay? As far as we know, like, this is the only thing, I think it's the only thing Criterion's been working on, but, you know, they've been on their own schedule, and hopefully everything is where it needs to be. But, you know, I think a key here to recognize is that we're all in this position where we're like, I hope that it's good. I hope that it's, you know, adequate. I hope that it, you know, and I'm not sounding excited for it. I'm just like hopeful that it's decent, you know.
I think Battlefield's teaching us to be cautious nowadays.
It is. It really is. And you know, if you know, I was Electronic Arts, I'd be a little bit concerned about, you know, that's what the super fans feeling is. Is one of caution and concern, because it's not a place you want to be in if you're trying to sell somebody something.
Right, but I'm cautiously optimistic. Now that Apex is really like got me into Battle Royale. I never really was into Battle Royale until Apex.
I could be a good and a bad thing, you know. They might look at it and say, well, it's doing really well, so you know,
we'll find out.
We don't have to focus on this other stuff so much.
Just before we close this off, like, because I want to gauge you guys' ideas. When do you think we're gonna hear the first thing about the Battle Royale? Do you expect something? Like, March is right here.
Well, Randy Evans the other day, and this is about a week ago, I want to say. Randy Evans, the guy who does the head of the media trailers for DICE and everything, had mentioned that you know, the trailer was coming together for Firestorm. So presumably we're going to get a trailer here sometime soon. I'd say probably early March. You know, I wouldn't expect to see Firestorm until later in the month, but
Dang,
you know,
I was hoping
I
for
think
like beginning of the month.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody is, but
Not gonna happen,
know.
right?
if I were them, I'd
Um,
give people more time to get tired of Apex before showing it off. So
oh, that'd be
I don't
interesting.
know. I don't know.
Ooh, we got a comment in the chat saying they're releasing March as a beta and go from there. No, I think they're releasing as a finished product. They're putting out another beta field, then I'm sorry.
Beta field.
Anyways, guys, interesting in discussion. We're gonna close off right here. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the podcast that each of us come up here and do. We're passionate Battlefield fans, community members, whatever you want to call us. Some of us are game changers. Some of us are streamers, YouTubers, and you guys are our friends, fans, and everyone else who watches who's also a community member. Awesome. It is my pleasure to always host this podcast on here. And if you guys want to get more involved, shoot us an email. Email, again, final time for this episode is the Let's Talk Podcast at gmail.com. It was great talking to all of you, fellas. That's my bell right here. Good thing we're closing off. Fellas, Flak, where can these guys find you while we're not live streaming this podcast?
Right. So you guys can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/Flakfire Gaming. I got the verified check mark the other day, so that was pretty cool on there. But aside from that, yeah, on Twitter, it's at Flakfire Gaming on Twitter, and my Twitch is Flakfire as well. So always posting interesting things there if you guys ever get bored and want to check that out.
All right, Mambo, where can these guys find you?
I'm glad to be a part of another great series of podcasts here. This is episode 34. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm one of the co-hosts, Mambo. You can look me up on Twitch 6 days a week, except Wednesdays is the only day I don't stream. Live stream on twitch.tv/Mambo. Or if you want to shoot a message at me on Twitter at Mambo_BE. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, and I was your host, Echo Limits. Great to have you guys in here. If you want to check out more of my content, I'm a twitch.tv live streamer. EKOLIMITS is where you can find me on Twitch. And I've been making YouTube content, which is pretty fun these days. So check out my YouTube channel. If you want to talk to me offline, Twitter and Discord is always the best. Check out my social links there. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Let's Talk Battlefield podcast. And hopefully we'll have some news on this new Battle Royale. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.
Later.